Carter, he started bulldogging the blacks. The head of the blacks called him a punk ass bitch, white boy. They went into the cell on the stairs. This guy got smashed twice by the head of the blacks. And then his underling, the underboss, became the boss. His name was Gravedigger. And he orchestrated a race riot. And he got moved out of my pod too. So both the guys who were sweating me to bring the drugs in, because of their own mischief making, they got moved out of my pod, and I never got sweated again after that. And over time, I learned to make alliances with the right people. That prison riot story is on my YouTube channel, What Happens in a Prison Riot. I'll put the link below this video actually. It's a really good, long, brutal story about what happens with these neo-Nazis and how everything escalated into this huge race riot after Carter, the head of the whites, got smashed twice by the head of the blacks. He ran out of that guy's cell, and Gravedigger made him go back in and fight that black guy again. The black guy smashed him again. Yeah, so he was humbled very rapidly. Alright, thank you for asking this question about what the gangs ask you to do, put work in, stuff like that, shot callers. Appreciate you following the channel. I appreciate you liking the video, commenting, and I will keep putting more of these videos out there. Cheers from London, take care out there. One of the worst situations you can be in prison is to have a shot caller put a green light on you. It could green light to have you smashed, shanked, stabbed to death, killed, or they could just green light you to be rolled up, which means you got to get your belongings and get the hell off the yard before you get attacked. Now, I was green lighted by a shot caller back when I was in Arizona Department of Corrections. I was writing a blog exposing the human rights violations, and most of the prisoners supported what I was doing. My cellmate, Long Island, he said, hey, something that will be really interesting to the public is if you write a blog about how the prisoners are making syringes themselves from items you can buy from the inmate store. Now, I never ever mention anyone's names in my blogs without their permission, and I only use nicknames. So I thought if I just write generically about how prisoners are making these syringes, not naming anybody, it wouldn't get me in any trouble. The guards knew about it, the prisoners knew about it. I just figured, hey, this is something the public doesn't know. It's going to be interesting for them. It was a big mistake. Anyway, so I wrote this blog entry called Rig Builders, and it was writing this blog that caused me to get a green light put on me by a shot caller. I'll just read you the blog real quickly so you can get an idea of what I did, my mistake. Recently, the traditional methods of procuring syringes haven't been working, so some prisoners are making their own from store items. There are 3 ways prisoners obtain syringes that I know of. Firstly, stealing them from medical, where they're most commonly used for insulin injections. Secondly, keystering, smuggling them in through visitation, through a visitor's body, anus or vagina to a prisoner's anus, carefully wrapped in balloons, cling wrap or condoms. Thirdly, via the mail system, concealed in cardboard greeting cards delivered by the US Postal Service in envelopes with bogus return addresses. Which store items are prisoners assembling to make syringes with? A hollow watch band pin from a Sentry Action watch, which costs $2.35 from the inmate store. Sandpapered into a point. A Bic pen refill, 25 cents, used as a plunger. A spray tube from Just So Curl activator, $1.55, fitted with the point and plunger to complete the outfit. These do-it-yourself syringes are larger than the monstrous contraption that gave Uma Thurman's character a life-saving adrenaline shot in Pulp Fiction. Prisoners harpooning themselves suffer considerable blood leakage. One prisoner with a blood-soaked arm said, I don't know if I'm high from the dope or the blood loss. So I thought that was quite fascinating. It shows the ingenuity of prisoners to buy all these items from the inmate store and to make these syringes. But what happened was, prisoners don't have internet in Arizona. Somebody read this and a shot caller, not on my yard, but on the next yard over, which was minimum security, he put out a green light to have me smashed on the basis that I'd written about prisoners shooting up drugs, used real names, and divulged secrets that the guards could read and it could get people in trouble. So I'm sat in the chow hall and this mafia guy I know called Frankie comes up to me and he's like, "Hey homie, I'm giving you a heads up right now. Hammer on yard 1 has just put out a green light to get you attacked, saying that you've been writing blogs using people's real names, putting it on the internet." So I wasn't sure what he was on about at that point, but then I realized it had to be this blog entry I'd written, Rig Builders. So I said to my homie Frankie, I said, "Look, come back to my cell and let me read you what I wrote. Honestly, I've never ever used any real names, only nicknames, some people with their permission." So he went back to the cell with me. He read the blog entry and he's like, "Yeah, you're right, you've not used any real names, but let me give you some advice. Never ever ever write about drugs in prisons because so many people are addicted, it's just going to cause shit, it's going to cause drama, and you're going to get your head smashed in." So I took his advice from there on out, but it was already too late because now I've got this green light on me by this shot caller. So I was writing the life story of 2 Tonys at the time, old school mafia guy, worked for the Bonanno crime family, who inspired the movie The Godfather, the book The Godfather. He was doing 141 years for multiple homicides, and he had a lot of pull on the yard. He was way linked up with the old school Aryan Brotherhood. So Frankie then took me over to 2 Tony's cell, and we explained the situation. 2 Tonys read the blog that I wrote, Rig Builders, and he's like, yeah, you've not used anybody's real names. Let me work on this and get back to you in a couple of days. I'm going to try and make this, call in a favor and make this go away. Anyway, for the next 2 days, the whole yard it was absolutely chaotic. Half the people, I mean there was like 100 guys on this yard, half of them wanted to attack me, half of them were trying to protect me. The next day, 4 dudes come chase me back to my cell. I managed to close the door just in time. They started yelling at me, "Oh, you fucked up now using real names. We're gonna get you now," and all this. They were pushing my door. They yelled at someone who was outside of the guard's office, say, "Tell the guard Atwood wants his door opened, he wants to get out." The guard clicked my door open. They were all pushing it. As soon as I heard it click, I pushed it back, managed to re-shut it, and then they kept doing this, trying to get the guard open, and I had to keep... If they'd have got into my cell, I would have got the absolute shit beat out of me right now. The green light was in full effect, and 2 Tonys hadn't been able to call in his favour yet to get it squashed. So, by luck, honestly, so many things happened by luck. I don't know how I got through all this without any teeth getting knocked out, any bones broken, but by luck, they didn't get into the cell that evening. The next day, this big hillbilly dude who's got a shank comes to my cell, and before he gets there, I've got a guy in there who's talking to me, a huge Marine guy, and he goes out and he's like bam bam, knocks the guy out, knocked the guy the fuck out. This guy was coming to my cell to shank me, to follow up on this green light. Now this Aryan brother dude, Hammer, he was running the drugs through the whole of this prison. So if you're running the drugs and you're a shot caller, you're running the drugs for the entire prison. Basically, you know, people are in there who'll kill someone for you for as little as $50 worth of heroin. This is how much power this guy had. So all these people trying to attack me, people protecting me because they supported my blog, they supported my activism. A lot of them had had books sent to them by my blog readers. They got pen pals through my blog. So day 2, the attacks are still coming. My parents were just out there visiting me at this time. I was going to visitation. I'd hardly slept because I knew as soon as my doors were popping open in the morning, the green light was going to be on again, and these dudes are going to be coming after me again. Didn't even take a shower. If I had gone into that shower, those guys would have got me in the shower. God knows what would have happened. So for 2 days, all of this chaos is going on. Now, in the end, 2 Tonys called in a favour and I went up to talk to the guy on the other yard. I couldn't get into his yard, but I went to his fence with a friend of mine on my yard, and we went up there to talk to him face to face to make sure that the beef was squashed. And I said to him, hey, look, Hammer, you know, I don't use anybody's real names. The blog is to help prisoners. It exposed a lot of the bad stuff that was going on in Sheriff Joe Arpaio's jail. Prisoners have got pen pals, prisoners are getting books sent to them. You know, if I get smashed, I get moved from this yard, I can't help these guys out anymore because the bridge to the outside world would be gone for them. I'll be at a different prison, different yard, different prisoners, helping those guys. So he kind of like begrudgingly, didn't say much. He just acted like, you know, nothing was going to happen to me. It was a bit moody, and then he left. But when I got back, 2 Tonys assured me that the green light had been turned off. The beef had been squashed. Now, people were hostile to me for a few days. Some of the guys were being more aggressive. But it wasn't like I was going to get shanked in my cell like I felt like a couple of days earlier. So it slowly died down with those guys as well. But what happened then was, months later, I got reclassified to medium security, which is where the shot caller was housed. So he was totally in control of, minimum security. I was in medium security. I was going to get transferred over to minimum security. Minimum security was where the shot caller was housed. So I'm thinking, oh no, I'm putting my head right now into the lion's mouth. This guy, as soon as I get on this yard, you know, he's just going to have dudes smash me. He's going to just give him a bit of drugs and he's just going to smash me. So I got to the yard. I had a brand new cellmate. Dude come into our cell, smashed our brand new cellmate. This guy owed the shot caller money, so he had some torpedo just go in, smash the daylights out of him. This guy's like coughing up blood in the toilet when I find him in there. And what happened was, 2 Tonys had this huge guy on minimum security called Tank. This guy had no neck, shoulders up here. You know, he was like huge, just shaped like a tank, literally. So the Tank, he went up to everybody on that yard who could potentially smash me and said to them, hey, if you've got a problem with Atwood, you've got a problem with me, and I'm gonna fucking smash the daylights out of anyone who lays a hand on Atwood. So he went all over the yard like this, just like this, they're like, I'm gonna fucking kill her. He was really, really scary dude. So thank God for 2 Tonys and for Tank saving me ass that time when this shot caller had a green light out on me. In the end, I went and talked to that shot caller as well in the chow hall and tried to make sure that everything was cool with him. And it seemed like it was, and I did never get smashed on that minimum security yard. In fact, after 2 Tonys took me his wing, I never got smashed again after that. So I'll put another video up about what happens if a shot caller puts a green light on your friend. That happened to 2 Tonys, and he had to let his friend die because otherwise he would have died. Yeah, and my book about 2 Tonys, it's just come up live on Kindle today. Paperback should be out next week, and audiobook should be out in about 2 months. Below this video, I'll put the link to the tour I'm doing in the UK. Sheffield, Birmingham, Manchester, Bristol, London. Got all these different dates coming up. And if you are unemployed, if you are a student, you got to be over 18 to get in. Shoot me an email. I do have some free guest list spaces for people who can't afford the £12 ticket price. Alright, appreciate you supporting my channel. Hope you've enjoyed this video. Take care out there. Please like and subscribe. Right, this is the third in my prison shot caller series of videos. What if a shot caller puts a green light on your friend? What that means is, what if the gang leader orders a hit, shanking to death or beating up, forced to roll off the yard, puts a green light on your friend, and somehow you find out, you got a heads up from somebody, you just noticed certain things happening on the yard that indicate this might be happening. Do you then give your friend a heads up and put yourself at risk of a shot caller putting a green light on you? This exact situation happened to two Tonys, the mafia guy who protected me in prison. Two Tonys were serving 141 years. He left the dead bodies of rival gangsters from Arizona to Alaska. He was classified as a multiple homicide murderer. Because he'd only murdered rival gangsters, he had a lot of respect. He dictated his life story to me in prison years ago, and it just got published. And in the book, The Mafia Philosopher, is the story of what happened when a shot caller put a green light on one of his friends. Now, bear in mind, this is Arizona Department of Corrections back in the 70s and 80s. There wasn't any cameras then. You get away with a lot more out in open. And Arizona, Florence prison in particular, was classified as the most dangerous area in a whole of America, like the square mile, the most dangerous square mile in the whole of America, based on the murders, beheadings, all of the crazy stuff that was going on at Florence prison, and that's where Two Tonys was housed. So, I'm going to read you now from the book. Some people have asked me how to get it. It's available worldwide on Amazon. I'll put the link in the description box in the video, below this video. So I'm going to read now what happened. This is Two Tonys talking. I met a kid, Pete, 20, a well-natured youngster. As a kind of mentor,